Hello everybody and welcome back to another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. Hope you all have had a fantastic couple days, at least in your personal lives, because in your sporting lives, and most notably if you're a fan of the United States men's national team, you're probably not in the greatest spirits at this point in time, as we are here to talk about yet another United States men's national team loss. This one coming to the hands of Portugal, with the final score being 2-0. Goals from Trincao and João Felix in this game for Portugal. And it just makes all the sense in the world that João Felix would score a goal in this game, given his comments about United States soccer prior to this game happening. But we'll talk about that goal itself, which was ridiculous. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit, and everything else in this game, as well as the outlook for the 2026 World Cup, and so much more. Before we get into any of that, let's go over the housekeeping items first. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below, whether it's social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that great stuff, whether it be the podcast and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or you can check out the blog posts at the LoganBlackmanShow.com. Mock Draft 2.0 is available on the LoganBlackmanShow.com. Mock Draft 3.0 will be out here soon, but make sure you check out the blog post down in the description below. Also, leave a comment down below on your thoughts, opinions, whatever about the United States men's national team, about their performances in this World Cup window, or not World Cup window, this international friendly window for this World Cup prep, I guess you could say. I know they're both friendlies, but the morale is important to boost for the 2026 World Cup, especially with this being on home soil. So let me know what your comments are down below about individual players, about Pochettino, about Portugal, Belgium, whatever you want to say. Let me know down in the comments below. And also make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying it. But if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. Wait till the end of the video. I'll remind you then to give the video a thumbs up. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, another United States men's national team loss. Again, this one 2-0. Portugal down in Atlanta. Unsurprisingly, a lot of Cristiano Ronaldo jerseys at this game. This is a Portugal team that we talked about in the preview that is without some of their key players, like Ronaldo, like Bernardo Silva, Diogo Costa. Like they've got so much quality though, minus those guys. And there'd be even some people out there that would argue that Cristiano Ronaldo is somewhat of a hindrance to this current state of the Portuguese national team. But if you look at the players they have at their disposal, they're just so damn good. Like Bruno Fernandes, we talked about in the preview, he got 2 assists in this game. The first one coming as a back heel to Trincao, which slotted it perfectly past Matt Freese in net. The other one coming from a corner, which this goal, I don't know what the thought is with this goal. There are 8 United States players in the 6 yards box. No one closes João Felix down at all. Like, he has time to control it, chest it down, control it, and just slot it past Matt Freese in net. It wasn't even like a fast shot. He didn't even really strike it with that much venom, but it was just perfectly placed in the corner. But he had all the time in the world to like control it and take a shot. And it's just so annoying when things like that happen at international level prior to the World Cup, because again, you cannot be doing that against teams like Portugal, like Belgium. You want to know the last time the United States beat a team from Europe? It was all the way in 2021 when they beat Bosnia by a score of 1-0, which congratulations to Bosnia on beating Italy to make the World Cup. Sweden also made the World Cup. The United States also found out that Turkey is going to be in their group, so we got a group of Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. Realistically, the United States should win the group. And I say should win the group because Lord knows that's going to happen. You know what's crazy? And I'll talk about, I want you to guess who the goal scorer was in that Bosnia game here in a little bit. But you know what's crazy? At the current state of things right now, prior to the 2026 World Cup, and again, in a group with Australia, Turkey, and Paraguay, the United States opened up their first game against Paraguay. This is a group where you should look at and go, yes, they have enough quality to win this game, but morale is so damn low. In the past couple tournaments the United States has been in, the morale going in has been so damn low. You look at the Gold Cup last year, they were coming off of 4 consecutive losses. Turkey being one of them, Switzerland being the other one. And then you have the 2 shit show performances in the Nations League. Like going into the Gold Cup, you're rattling off 4 straight losses going in the tournament. Copa America, you get blitzed by Colombia, absolutely blitzed. Yes, you draw with Brazil, but cool, you got destroyed by Colombia. And Christian Pulisic came out today or yesterday, I believe, or the other day. I can't remember exactly when it was, but he was like, we didn't really have the best camp going into the 2022 World Cup, and I thought we did really well. You didn't do very well in the 2022 World Cup. You should have beaten Wales. Your biggest performance that you drew with England, and England sat all the way back for some stupid reason against the United States. The United States realistically could have won that game, and then Iran, you played a back 10 pretty much in that game to close that one after Christian Pulisic left right after halftime due to a, what do they call it, a pelvic contusion or something like that, and then you got played off the park by the Netherlands in the first round of the knockouts. Like, you didn't have a great World Cup. And then you go back to, like, 2014. Like, this is where my mind is right now. 2014, for the United States men's national team, had a group with Portugal, ironically, Germany, who wound up winning the whole thing, and Ghana. So 3 teams that are really solid outfits, and Portugal had a prime Cristiano Ronaldo in their team, not a 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo that we would have seen had he not had an hamstring injury going into this game. A Germany team that would go on to win the tournament, and a really tough Ghana team. And the United States still managed to qualify from that group. It was the group of death, and they managed to qualify from that. Is it crazy to say that I had more confidence in that 2014 team to qualify out of that group than I do at this point in time saying that the United States is going to qualify out of this group? Because if you look how things are right now with the United States men's national team, we talk about morale and all that stuff. Effort is something that always gets brought up. If you look back at that 2014 squad, there was never a question of effort. There was never a question of heart. That's what's always brought up with this national team, because it's not about individual talent. Like, if we're going pound for pound, player for player, for which ones are more talented versus this United States squad and the one from 2014, like, Clint Dempsey is the greatest United States player of all time. I think most people can agree on that. I know there's going to be some people that say Donovan. There's going to be some people that even say Christian Pulisic. But when it came to Dempsey, even Michael Bradley, who I was never the biggest fan of the national team, like, there's so many players you could look at where you never questioned their heart and willingness to battle for everything on the shirt. And this team, that's all we ever do. The team itself is always brought up. Like, the team is too damn talented, has too many players playing consistently over in Europe to be this bad against teams from Europe. Again, 2021 was the last time the United States beat a team from Europe. And I'll go through all the, let's just go through all the results the United States has had since between now and 2021. So we obviously have the 2-0 loss against Portugal. We have the 5-2 loss against Belgium. We have the 4-0 loss against Switzerland, the 2-1 loss, against Turkey. You have the 1-0 loss against Slovenia in 2024. You have the 3-1 loss to Germany in 2023, October 23. You have a 2-1 loss to Serbia in January of 23. Then you have the World Cup. You have the Netherlands. You lost 3-1 to them in the knockout stage of the 2022 World Cup. You drew against England and Wales, so we're going to count those because they didn't win. So we're looking for the last time they won against an international team, or against a European team, And then you got the game against Bosnia, which took place on December 18, 2021. And again, I want you to guess who scored the goal for the United States in that game. I'll give you a hint as his only appearance and only goal for the national team. You got your guess. You got your guess. And to be honest, I completely forgot that this game even happened, and I would have never been able to guess who the goal scorer was. It was Cole Bassett. How many of you out there guessed Cole Bassett as the last goal scorer for a winning United States team against a European nation? And it's against these European nations, even some of the bigger nations like in Asia. Like, you look at what we talked about against South Korea. Like, these games, they are struggling in. It's like they only do well in CONCACAF, and Mexico, who's in a dark spot in their national team, played much better against Belgium and Portugal because they know they have a weaker squad comparatively to them. So they kind of sit back a little bit more and kind of invite the pressure. You look at what they did against Portugal. Portugal only had 2 real chances in that game, but that's what you need to do against teams like that. The United States, and this is what I think the problem is, and I've seen a couple people talk about this on social media as well, is that the United States plays the same way against Curacao that they do against Spain. And I know they haven't played Spain in this current iteration of Spain, but they play the same way. So you try to play out from the back. You try to have all these intricate passes and stuff like that and try to get a little too cute. Like, if you look at the first goal that Portugal scored, that we talk about the Trincao goal, you look at, their squirrel just popped up in the window there. It scared the shit out of me. But if you look at the Trincao goal, the United States is trying to play those cute little passes. Alex Freeman, he has a bad pass. Weston McKennie tries to kick his foot up and try to Eric Cantona karate kick it out of the air, and he tries to bring it down, plays right into the path of I think it was Bruno Fernandes, who just dribbled right through everybody. But in against these better teams, if they are able to break it up and trick you and trap you into spots that you're not comfortable in because you don't have the players to play these types of intricate passes against teams like Portugal, they're going to make you pay every single time. And we talked about it against Belgium. The midfield is wide ass open. And I know there's going to be people talking about, like, the chemistry between Aiden Morris and Sebastian Berhalter is awesome. They came through the Columbus Crew system together. They're best friends, yada, yada. They make TikToks together and all that. Like, they're solid players, but that's what we're talking about. Like, for the national team against these types of teams, you cannot go out there with a midfield of those two because they're not defensively sound in this game. They were wide ass open. Portugal had no issues going down the middle of the field. You look at the second half against Belgium. They had no problem going down the middle of the field against the United States. There was one shot Portugal had in this game. I can't remember who wound up taking it, but they played a ball from the halfway mark on the ground to just outside the penalty area and no one closed it down. Like, they just had an easy pass. The window's wide open. Like, you know what they talk about in football, like a semi-truck could have driven through that hole. That's what you're seeing, like, in the passing lanes for the United States defensively with these midfield setups that they have going on for it. And if you look at what the United States is doing right now, like, this was, like, the squad itself was, I mean, it is what it is at this point in time, but to transition back to a back four, and I know in this game, they played a back five loosely. Like, there were times where Tim Weah would drop back a little bit in the first half, and Alex Freeman would kind of play as that right center back. But there were other times Pochettino would go tell Weah to just push up the field, just stay up the field. And I don't know why the United States, at this point in time, we talk about the depth at center back, but you have players that have played center back at club level and international level that you can play as that right center back, because the United States, their best form under Pochettino, pretty convincingly, has come when they play with a back five, because they have so many defensive flaws. If you play with a back five, your defensive flaws are going to be a little less obvious, I guess you could say. And like we talked about Arston at left wing back, he is a negative defender. He has no defensive abilities whatsoever comparatively to the international stage. For what the players the United States should be selecting for the United States for the World Cup, he cannot defend. You cannot play him in a back four. So you need a back five so he can bomb force. You have that cover of a Tim Ream or Austin Trusty. And speaking of Austin Trusty, I would probably say he was the best player in this game for the United States. Not that we're picking a great length of players here, but I'm still not like the most confident in him overall. He's gotten 2 red cards in 2026 for Celtics. That's not like, you know, the greatest thing of all time, but I do like that he's fearless in a sense. Like, there was a portion early on in the game where he intercepted the ball near the halfway line and just drove forward. That's what I like to see. Like, just have that aggressiveness in there. It's like 1,000 times the athlete that Tim Ream is, and that's not anything really against Tim Ream. He's 40 years old. He can't really do a whole lot about that. He can't play in a back four with the United States at a World Cup. He's not athletic enough to do that. They don't have the legs for that. So if you're going to try and force a back four back on them, then you need to have Austin Trusty next to Chris Richards, because Chris Richards is obviously the best defender the United States has. It's not really close. I mean, if we're talking about center backs, I know there's going to be arguments for Ante Robinson in there as well, but overall, like, you look at these style of games the United States plays against these bigger nations, you need to be adjustable. You need to adapt. And one of the big things that was a big criticism under Greg Berhalter was the inability to adapt. And that's the same thing that's going on here. Like, early on against Belgium and against Portugal in this game, they are aggressive. They are going at the team. They're playing counter-attacking football. They're going aggressive. They're playing down the wings. Tim Weah is bombing down the wings, playing balls across. Like, they're super aggressive. They took 5 shots outside of the box in the first half alone. And it just stops. They get so much less aggressive in that second half. And it's the same thing that happened in Belgium. It's the same thing that happened in Portugal. And it just goes down to the quality of players that you have going into these games. And it's just so frustrating to see, like, Christian Pulisic. He's out of whack like freaking crazy. He hasn't scored for AC Milan since December. He hasn't scored a goal for the United States since I think I saw 2024, and you're trying to play him as a striker? Like, I understand, like, you want Pulisic to play more centrally. You want to get him on the ball more. I mean, I think every single manager for the United States that's had Christian Pulisic wants him on the ball more, wants him more centrally, because he occupies those pockets essentially when he comes in off the left anyways. Like, he already automatically will drift inside, which is why, again, the back three or back five works for the United States, because the players the United States has in those 2 attacking midfield spots automatically want to cut in anyways. And they don't have any real natural wingers apart from Weah and Pulisic. This allows to have the best players for the United States in those spots. But Pulisic is not a striker. I know he's playing striker for AC Milan, but he's been playing in a 2. He's not a striker. And he was terrible in this game. He was not good in this game. He got a stupid yellow card right before halftime because he kicked out because he's getting too emotional. I don't know what's going on with Christian Pulisic. I've seen some people talk about, like, oh, he needs to come off the bench as a super sub. I don't know if we're at that point at this time, because in regards to natural talent, he's the most talented player the United States has at their disposal, which makes this so much more frustrating that he's been playing as bad as he has been, where you can talk about, again, we talked about this in the last video, that Weston McKennie, you could sit here and go, like, he's the best player the United States has. They had a chance early on in the game from a corner. I don't know how Weston McKennie is so open on these corners. I don't really understand it, but it's kind of crazy. And he missed the goal. He missed it, but regardless, it is impressive his ability to get open from there. But Pulisic, I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on, but as a striker, that's not an experiment we need to do anymore. As a false 9, we don't need to do that anymore. I know it's worked for teams in the past. Like, you look at Germany with Mario Götze. Like, it's worked for teams in the past. But that's not going to work here. In the United States, one of the big issues and one of the big question marks going in to the 2026 World Cup is the striker position. So if you're Balogun, Pepe, or Aubameyang, how do you feel about Christian Pulisic playing as a striker, playing as a false nine in the final game prior to the squad getting announced? I don't know if I would feel the greatest about that. And Ricardo Pepi, it's clear that Mauricio Pochettino does not rate him. He does not rate Ricardo Pepi. And Ricardo Pepi, ironically, has the most goals out of the top 4 strikers for the United States. He has 13 goals. And you got Balogun, Aubameyang, Haji Wright. None of them have 13 goals for the national team or close to that. I don't think anybody else has more than 10 comparatively out of those 4 guys. But he doesn't play him. He barely played in the last window that they had. And in this window against Belgium and Portugal, he played 20 minutes. He is at risk, very much so, at missing yet another World Cup squad. And I know last time people lost their minds because he lost a spot to Jesus Ferreira. And that was fair because that was stupid. That was very stupid. Ricardo Pepi at that point in time, though, he was out of form for a while when he first transferred over to the Netherlands. But then he got back in form prior to the World Cup. And then Greg Berhalter decides to go with Haji Wright, Josh Sargent, and Jesus Ferreira. Now for this World Cup, it's going to be, at this point in time, Valerian Balogun, Haji Wright, and Patrick Aubameyang. And I don't know if he'd bring Ricardo Pepi because Haji Wright can play on the wing. So maybe you still bring Ricardo Pepi there. But there is a very solid chance that Ricardo Pepi, as talented and as good as he is, misses his second consecutive World Cup for the national team. I think people would lose their minds more for this one, given how much people just don't like Patrick Aubameyang. Regardless of what he does, people just don't like Patrick Aubameyang. If he makes the squad over Ricardo Pepi, there will be revolts on social media. Then if you look at some of the midfield options that they have available here, like Johnny Cardoso is another one where you could sit back and go like his spot is kind of in jeopardy. Like he played 45 minutes against Belgium, got subbed out at halftime, and then he went back to Atletico Madrid, which I guess was always the plan because Atletico Madrid's got a pretty grueling back half of the season to go through, especially with the Champions League going on. But that makes his spot even more questionable there as well than it already was. And Johnny Cardoso, we can all sit here and go, yes, he's very talented. He's playing week in and week out now for Atletico Madrid. I know he was in and out of the team for a while. There were sometimes he was left out in the wilderness. But right now, he is playing consistently for Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. But he's not had those performances for the United States. You look at the Nations League. Like there's you just don't have those consistent performances that go like, yes, this is a guy that plays for Atletico Madrid. And now him going back, unless his spot was completely safe, which it completely could be, that scares me going into this next World Cup cycle in regards to the squad selections and all that, because 45 minutes in the most crucial time for the United States in the squad selection period. I don't know. I understand it. I completely get it, but it is an interesting thing to look at for the United States, especially with like how much Pochettino does rate Sebastian Berhalter and Christian Roldan. Whether as starters or as backup options, he rates them. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people out there, but that's the fact of the matter that he does rate those two players very highly because they are consistently in and around Mauricio Pochettino's squad. And again, I brought up Christian Roldan comparing him to Mason Mount in regards to like managers just like him. Not as players, they don't play the same, but in regards to this how they are as players, managers just gravitate towards them. They always want them involved in the squad. And that's going to upset a lot of people because there's no world, really, where Christian Roldan and Johnny Cardoso are same physically, gifted-wise, talent-wise, whatever you want to call it. They're not the same. Johnny Cardoso levels above that. Christian Roldan never once in his career, and you could say he's loyal to the soil for staying in Seattle for his entire career, but there's never been one moment where you could look at Christian Roldan and say, yes, he's going to play for a team like Atletico Madrid at some point in time. Like Johnny Cardoso was bossing it for Real Betis last year, and now he's playing better now, more recently, with Atletico Madrid. So those are two big question marks for the team. And another one, we're just going to keep moving back, is the back line. What back line are we going to see for the U.S.? I saw Tim Howard talking about this the other day. This has got to be the first time in a while where going into a World Cup, we don't have a general grasp on what the United States' best lineup is in regards to, you could say the entire lineup, but in regards to the back line more specifically, because right now, he's trying to go back to a back four. And he's played a back five, which again is the best form the United States has been in a back five or back three, however you want to call it. but what's the best team that they have? Do you play, like, we can lock in Anthony Robinson and Chris Richards. We can lock those two in. Dest, I would like to say we could lock in, but his injury history and the fact that Tim Weah also plays there could make that a little bit of a, not a question mark, but it could make that interesting. Obviously, I would go with Dest over anything, but those three, you could sit there and go like, yes, these are three guys that I feel very comfortable saying these guys are locked in. But the rest of it, who's the right center back? Who's the left center back? I already talked about ad nauseum Tim Ream and his lack of legs at that left center back spot, and you cannot go into a World Cup with Tim, respectfully, to Tim Ream, and I know Mitchell Pochettino's going to want to be the captain or something. Respectfully, you cannot go into a World Cup with him as one of your starting center backs. And the other side, at right center back, Mark McKenzie's always stressed me out at the United States. It doesn't matter what game it is. You can go back years. He's stressed me out every single time. He has some solid performances at club level, but at international level, it feels like it's this. And I would say right now that Alex Freeman would be my choice at that spot because he might not be getting the minutes at club level right now, and he might be a little inconsistent, but you could see the ceiling there. The athletic tools are there to be a very solid right center back or right back for the United States. If you look at the recovery speed that he has, we saw it on display in this game. So I would probably go with him there, but the center back options next to Chris Richards, who are the other guys? Is it Trusty? Is it Ream? Is it McKenzie? Is it Freeman? Is it Scally? Is it Noah Kai Banks? Like, what are our other options here? And then at net, Matt Freese probably secured his spot as the number one goalie going into this World Cup, had he already not had that done. But the save that he had at Bruno Fernandes early on in the game was very, very impressive. He had another fingertip stake against Cohen Sao later in the game as well, another fingertip save. So I think that he is, and this isn't going out on a limb here to say this, that he's going to be the number one going in to the World Cup. I just don't feel confident in that. The back line and the goalkeeper spot, this is the least confident I've been in a while for a World Cup. Like Matt Turner, I was more confident in him going into 2022 than I am for Matt Freese right now. And I don't, that might not be that's not a crazy thing to say, but if you look at the past history of the United States goalkeepers, Tim Howard, then you even got Brad Guzan, who I was never a big fan of him, but Brad Friedel. Then you got Nick Romano as a third choice option, is better than what Matt Freese is right now. Then you got Tony Miola. Like, there's so many. Casey Keller. I feel comfortable with these guys in net. I just don't feel that same way right now. And the back line, the goalkeeper, the midfield, like, who's your best midfield duo? Is it Tyler Adams has to start there, but you put Johnny Cardoso there. Do you put Tanner Tessman? Does he play one of the MLS guys there? Aiden Morris? Does Weston McKennie drop back? Like, there are so many questions that we should already have answered at this point in time, which makes this so much more frustrating going into a World Cup. Like, the United States' form against European opposition, against top-rated opposition, is very bad. There's not a lot of confidence in and around the team, in the fan base, whatever you want to call it. There's just not a lot of that at this point in time. And I don't know where it's going to come from, what's going to happen, and I'm just intrigued to see what the squad even looks like at this point in time, because these performances recently, and you can go back to the Gold Cup as well, the Nations League, whatever, all these performances are just so disheartening, and leading into a World Cup, losing on aggregate by a combined score of 7-2. And again, I know they have two friendlies coming up in the last day of May and then early June prior to the World Cup, so it's not the last time we're going to see the team play, but this run does not fill me with confidence at this point in time. And I'm going to reiterate what I said before. I actually felt more confident going into the group of death in 2014 than I do right now with a group that consists of Australia, Paraguay, and Turkey. It stresses me out, and I don't think we should feel this way given the talent that the United States has. And I think that the qualifying, I saw Kyle Martino kind of talking about this, where it was the qualifying window, the lack of quality teams the United States play, I think could hurt the United States going in. So we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I think that's all I pretty much got for you today. I know we didn't talk about the Portugal game that much. We talked about the goals that they scored in that game, but that game, I don't want to talk about individual games for the United States, for like games like that, and I know I have to, but the goals they scored were just goals that you shouldn't be giving up at this point in time. You should not be giving up goals like that. I guess the only positive we could say is that they didn't have clashing kits. Yes, that's the positive we are going to take away from this game against Portugal, because other than that, first half was good. They were aggressive for the first 20 minutes, and then the rest of the game was just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. And midfield got ran through the entire time with ease. which makes sense when you got a midfield that consists of Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, and Samu. I'm not surprised that the midfield got absolutely run over. Yeah, I'm nervous going into this World Cup. I'm nervous seeing what I'm not nervous what the squad's going to look like, but I'm intrigued to see what the squad is going to look like. And yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I will have another video coming out for you on Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for that. It'll be a tier list going over potential 50 players the United States has available, and if they're starting, if they're going to be on the plane, if they're in danger of not making, or if they have no chance. We're going to have a tier list ready for you on Tuesday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this video more than I enjoyed doing it myself. So I hope you enjoyed it. If not, I sincerely apologize. Let me know again down in the comment section below what you feel like about the United States men's national team recent performance and what you feel like their chances are at the 22 World Cup. If you think they're a real semifinal team going into this tournament, yeah. I mean, again, host nation plot armor is a real thing. So maybe that helps them a lot here, but yeah, not ideal. But yeah, again, let me know your comments down inside. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below as well. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And again, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. I'll try to be better next time. Again, there'll be a video up for you on Tuesday. So again, make sure you subscribe. I've, of course, been Logan Blackman, and I will see you guys later. Peace.